Good afternoon, Cougar fans, and welcome to Cougar Field for today's non-conference matchup between the visiting Fighting Saints of the University of St. Francis and the Cougars of Concordia University, Chicago. I am Parker Kelly, joined up in the booth by Rafael Gonzalez as we're getting ready to start here in River Forest, this non-conference matchup. The Fighting Saints in their brown kits with yellow numbering and black trim. The Cougars, on the other hand, in their home all whites, maroon lettering, and gold trim. Roth, this has been a much anticipated matchup as we are in the last week of non-conference play before NAC regular season play begins. Should be a fun one.
It should be a fun one between both teams today, and it's a critical game for the Cougars, obviously. They come into today, they've already played 2 games, they've lost both of them, and now being in here at home for the first time today, they want to build some momentum, build some confidence, more importantly, before they start going into conference play.
As we're getting set for opening kickoff, again, like I mentioned, starting lineups just announced not too long ago. St. Francis is coached by first-year head man Vince Martinez, and on the other side, the Cougars, first-year head coach Brad Callahan. So both teams with a new head coach and looking to get a win here this afternoon. Looks like doing the honors for the Cougars is junior number 7 Garrett Pointer. On-field officials making sure everything is set and ready to go. And we're off here in River Forest. Going to get a kick out to senior goalie Joseph Perez Teller, who's been pretty solid in goal here in the early going of the regular season. We'll get a throw in right here from the Fighting Saints. As the Saints are on offense for the first time today, going down the far side of the field. And the Cougars trying to get back on offense. Ball goes out of bounds. Ball will be distributed to Perez Teller. And Roth, I feel like one of the major key points in today's game will be goalie play. We mentioned the senior Perez Teller, very experienced guy, got a lot of play time last year. You got to think that he'll be a major factor for the Cougars this afternoon.
He will be, in fact, a major factor in this game. You know, he's been starting, both games so far this year. He did struggle a little bit in their last game against Anderson of Indiana after conceding 3 goals in the opening 57 minutes. So for him today, it's going to be a critical game, to rebuild some confidence, and remind himself as to why he is the #1 goalkeeper on this team.
And this is a pretty experienced Cougar team. I was talking to Coach Callahan not too long ago. Only 2 incoming freshmen on this team. So the Cougars will rely heavily on these veteran players like Perez Teller.
Same can be said also for St. Francis. They only have 3 freshmen this year. The majority of their team upperclassmen and juniors and seniors.
Both teams have more similarities than differences, it seems. So we get the kick from Perez. That one is cleared by the Fighting Saints. Cougars trying to cross midfield. Ball's kicked out of bounds as we await the throw-in. Throw-in was from Roberto Romero, who is actually wearing number 21 today, is listed as number 34 on the roster, is also listed as a goalkeeper. However, he is playing in the field today.
We talk about key players, you know. We talked about Perez for Concordia. For St. Francis, their main player, their main star, Sergio Fernandez, Arranger number 2 on the team, is not in the starting 11 today. He was a big part of their success last year, led the team in both goals and assists, had 9 goals and 8 assists, and he has been a contributor in each of the team's first 5 goals so far this season, including helping them come back from being 1-0 down to Beloit in their previous game and rally back and win it 2-1.
On the season, St. Francis 1-2 record. All 3 games have been on the road. They have a 1-2 away record, obviously. So a little bit of struggles on the road. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Cougars, they're looking to get their first win of the season, 0-2 overall, both of which have been on the road. This is their home opener. The Cougars have been excited about kicking things off at home really since they got here mid-August.
Not only that, just having a first-year head coach, and Brad Callahan, trying to revive the spark that this program had a little over 2 years ago now. Because for some of these players, they've had 3 different head coaches in the past 3 years, and for them, it hasn't been easy getting adjusted. Especially year after year, it's tough for them. And so far through the first two games, they've lost both of them, but they've looked a lot more better compared to what they were at this time last year.
Definitely can tell that the experience level comes into play, but Rafa, you hit an excellent point. That kick is over the goal, but a little bit of a coaching carousel here in the past 3 seasons for the Cougars. Brad Callahan in his first season, looking to reignite that spark the Cougars had not too long ago. As the ball trickles out of bounds, we get yet another throw in from the Cougars. Garrett Pointer trying to work with it. He is met by a couple Fighting Saints defenders playing pretty tough defense here early as things are getting a little aggressive on the far sideline. Looks like there was a little shoving match over by the Gatorade tables.
We talked about last season's struggles. The Cougars last year won 3 games, lost 10, and drew 2 of them, including a stretch for a while in which they went completely scoreless for a number of games. And, now with a new head coach, so far, they've done a lot more better so far, attacking-wise. So far, they've gotten 2 goals this year from the junior Garrett Pointer up to this point.
As the Cougars working down the field, trying to generate some offense. Knocks over a Fighting Saint. Wow, he's at it. Cougars working in midfield. Trying to get a pass off. It's intercepted by the Saints. Perez will come out of goal. Get the Cougars readjusted. Takes a hard bounce off of number 5, Jose Perez for St. Francis. Junior midfielder from Chicago, Illinois. Get the throw in right there from Evan Perez Teller, the younger brother of goalie Joseph Perez Teller. Cluster of both sides trying to fight for the ball. Working with it is Anthony Durka. Now throw in back to Perez. Now Edward Luna. Pointer tries to take it away from St. Francis goalie 0 Eric Murillo in his first season with St. Francis. Now the Saints working down the field. Perez will come out. Takes it right back.
That was a really good job by Perez, leaving his net, and trying to cut down the angle of the St. Francis attacker right there and eliminating them from having an opportunity to shoot the ball. So really good job and awareness by Perez early on.
Definitely showing that veteran leadership. A lot of the younger guys on the team really look up to Perez as a vocal leader. That ball kicked up and bounces onto the track. Pretty nice day here in River Forest. Sunny, warm weather. Can't ask for much better conditions for today's soccer match. Throw in right there from St. Francis. Just going to get a kick out, and that's going to drift to Murillo. Kick it right back. Cougars. Ball's hit a couple of players here pretty aggressively early.
Really good work so far by the Cougars, particularly in their back four defensive, coming and supporting one another for each of the St. Francis attackers in the final third.
Trying to work on the offensive player was Elias de Santiago, who knocks over Edward Luna. Both sides playing really aggressive on both sides of the ball here early.
It's going to be critical for the Rough as well to gain control of this game early on, because the last thing you want is for something bad to happen between a five of the players, etc. So for him, it's going to be really important to manage this game.
Definitely don't want things to get out of hand here in River Forest, especially early. So far, refs have done a good job of that. And a save right there from Perez Teller, who laid out onto the turf to get that one.
So first shot went to Jose Perez, number 5, right there for St. Francis. A low shot right there, right across the middle of the net right there. Hit it off the side of his foot. And for Perez, it was very easy for him to corral the ball.
And this back line of the Cougars really focusing on making things easier for Perez Teller. That has been one of the key focal points for this Cougar squad. Now working with it is Lekowitz.
This was a Cougars team last year that did concede 27 goals. They only gave up 13 shots a game, so the main issue for them was not, allowing many chances. The problem is they allowed too many high-quality chances for their opposition.
Now the Cougars working on the far side. Bounces off the head of one of the Cougar players. Perez is going to come out of goal again as he'll try to reset the Cougars.
So far here, we're only, a little over 10-plus minutes into the opening half, and so far we're seeing Xavier with St. Francis. Well, they've done really well so far. Just gain control of possession and really good job just passing it to the nearest man available. And so far, the Cougars team has not been able to make much progress up the field. So it can result in a throw right there with a careless pass down the far touchline.
St. Francis has done a good job of controlling the possession, that's for sure. Forcing the Cougars to play high volume of defense here early. And now Pointer going to try to chase it down, but the goalie of St. Francis, Murillo, will get to it before he gets the chance. Now St. Francis keeps the ball from bouncing onto the track, working with it on the far side of the pitch. And a little bicycle kick, but off target and to the left of the goal. You know, even though that goal didn't go in, very athletic move right there from number 3, Edward Luna.
That was a good effort by him right there. Came so close, just missed it right there on the left side of the net. But so far, we're starting to see St. Francis really pick up really good attacking opportunities so far. As you look so far in the shots, you know, they've had, 4 shots, while the Cougars haven't had a single shot yet up to this point.
It's going to be another key focal point for Cougars. Got to get more shots up. As we see so far this season, Cougars average 12 shots in the first half. They also allow 12 shots by their opponents. Maybe something to keep an eye on here as we continue in the first half. A whistle blown. The kick right here from Perez Teller.
So what happened right there was a offside right there, number 23, Santos Contreras right there. Just a step too far in front of the defender.
So that'll be the first offsides of the afternoon. Comes at the expense of St. Francis. Now Perez Teller just going to clear that one.
That's the second time today we've seen Perez have to play out of his area in net right there. And a really good job clearing the ball away. Otherwise, it's been a one-on-one opportunity for number 7 of St. Francis, Pablo Rubio Guerra.
Really just speaks to the high IQ of Perez Teller and really just his experience. Been here 4 years, knows how to play goalie, that's for sure.
There's another great example right there, having to play all the way out with his net. And so far, what this St. Francis team has done really good on attack is they're attacking the trap. Basically, what they're doing really well is that they're making really good runs at the right moments in the final third right there in the midfield. And it's led to several chances of them having one-on-one opportunities. But Perez has done a really good job, playing away from his net and so far avoiding any clear one-on-one opportunities.
As we'll get the throw in right here from the Cougars. Working on the far side of the pitch once again. Seems to be a highly populated area right now, at least to this point in the game. Now Pointer trying to make something happen. Nice save right there from Murillo. Pointer is having himself a good start to the season. 5th in the NAC in shots on goal. He's had 4 in the past 2 games. Also has been the leading goal scorer of this Cougar team with 2 goals, averaging 1 goal per outing.
Those 2 goals came against Anderson of Indiana just recently in their last game in their 5-3 loss, but he hopefully looks to continue the momentum today and get himself on the board again today and make it back-to-back games with a goal.
Cougars just got back from their Indiana trip last Saturday. They played at Earlham College on Friday and then at Anderson, Indiana on Saturday. Cougars did not get the results they were hoping for, and they're looking to again get that first win of the season this afternoon. Now Perez will send it deep. Now St. Francis, and that is a goal. First goal of the afternoon. St. Francis gets on the board first. Really nice goal right there as it just pinged right inside the middle of the net, right over the outstretched arms of Perez Teller.
What a beautiful goal right there for number 7, the junior forward, Pablo Rio Guerrero, out of Oviedo, Spain right there. Beautiful one-touch right there on the volley right there. And nothing for Perez right there to do to stop it. And since then, it has now given St. Francis the early 1-0 lead right here.
That is Pablo Rubio Guerrera's first goal of the season. St. Francis jumps out to a 1-0 lead. The Cougars cannot afford to get down by too many goals here early, as they're looking to generate a little bit of offense, been primarily on the defensive end so far in today's non-conference matchup.
And you see right here what St. Francis, they're doing a really good job with high intense pressure in the Cougars' own defensive end. It's causing them to have to kick the ball out of their own side of the field. And immediately right there, you see one or two St. Francis players, getting the ball immediately quick and starting the attack against. We just have another offsides right here. But so far, this Cougars team just cannot get out of their own side of the pitch.
The Fighting Saints doing a great job of applying early pressure, trying to set the precedent for the rest of the game.
Also note on the St. Francis goal, the assist went to number 18, Jesus Flores, the junior midfielder. So he'll get credit for the assist that time.
Another whistle blown. Looks like you're going to get a free kick right here from St. Francis. Now working on the far side of the pitch. Perez will come out of goal once again. Flush it to his teammate.
Another opportunity right here for St. Francis, and they convert.
And St. Francis will convert as they score 2 goals within a matter of, looks like 2 minutes. Really establishing that dominance here early. There wasn't much the Cougars could do defensively as Perez was out of goal, which left a one-on-one opportunity for St. Francis.
It's a really good finish right there by number 5, St. Francis time, Jose Perez right there. And all start off with a beautiful through ball right there. Number 7, Pablo Rubio Guerrero. We've heard his name several times throughout this game. Beautiful through ball right there he was given, and he got past the keeper Perez and had to pass it right there to his teammate Perez for the wide open goal right there. Just like that, St. Francis is up 2-0.
Now that is Jose Perez for St. Francis, his first goal of the season. So a couple players with their first goals here this afternoon. If you're the Cougars, this is not exactly the start you were hoping for. Cougars trying to get past that stingy Fighting Saint defense.
I think the one thing to look at also for the St. Francis, roster, they've had several international players on this team. We've already talked about, Pablo Rivera from Oviedo. You have also number 9, Ander Santa Marta from Gijón, Spain. You also have, defender number 4, Pablo Alvarez from Ecuador. There's some really good talent on this team, coming from all across the world.
Definitely have a lot of players from out of the country on this St. Francis team. 4 guys from Spain competing this afternoon for the Fighting Saints. Now St. Francis working with it. Number 10, Anthony Durka. Ball's going to be out of bounds towards that Cougar bench. Now we'll get a throw in. Perez Teller trying to analyze the situation. We'll send it to Lekowitz. Now back to Perez Teller. Now he'll clear it. Kicks it deep, intended for Elias de Santiago. Now, nice right there from Perez Teller as that shot goes over the goal by Jose Perez for the Fighting Saints. Looked like he might have had a one-on-one opportunity. And Roth, you might know more than me, but what was St. Francis trying to do right there on offense?
They were trying to do a nice little through ball right there to Perez, and he was able to find separation down the near touchline right there, and a really good job right there getting close to the net, but also give credit where credit is due once again to Perez, stepping right in front of him right there. And what Perez did right there, he was trying to dribble, then move from his right foot to his left foot, and that's why he tried to shoot the ball on his left foot. Hence is why it went over the bar and wide.
Looked like another golden opportunity for the Fighting Saints, just not able to convert. Allowing the Cougars really catch their breath right here. Garrett Pointer not happy about something, not happy about the contact. A couple Fighting Saints defenders draped all over him. Now working towards the near side of the pitch. It was number 32, Andres Villa. Excuse me, Villa. Roth, it just seems that the Saints are really dominating on offense. Is a nice save right there from Perez Teller as he went down on the pitch to save that one.
It all began right there between a miscommunication between several Cougar players as to who was going to, try to move the attack forward right there. And a really good close opportunity right there for Florence right there. There was no one separating himself from the goal other than the netminder Perez once again coming up in the clutch here early on in this first half.
Seems that there have been a couple backline miscommunications, at least so far, resulting in the 2-0 lead for the Fighting Saints.
And because of those miscommunications, it has led St. Francis time and time again here in this first half to have such really good opportunities. And, if you're the Cougars, you're lucky right now that you're only down by 2. If it wasn't for the stellar play of Perez.
Excellent point for sure right there, Roth, as we'll get a kick back to Perez Teller. Offensively, Cougars have not been able to really get past this defense of the Fighting Saints, not allowing much past them. And now ball will trickle out of bounds as that was Roberto Romero not able to corral the pass. You get a throw in from Luna. Now Julian Yanez clear it, but the Saints right back where they were. Now Lechuga, first time we've mentioned his name today, Andrew Lechuga, graduate student from El Monte, California. Send it back to his goalie.
Now, we talked about, moments ago how like the Cougars offense hasn't generated much, and yet completely different in their last game. Against Anderson, they had 15 shots. 7 of those were on target, and so far we only have a little over 17 minutes left here in the opening half. They've only had 1 shot. Now, granted, it was on target, but so far they haven't been able to generate a constant string of attacks. That's been the biggest difference right now between both teams.
Attacks will be vital here as we continue in the first half and even as we transition into the second half. It's Cougars working. It's now De Santiago. Kick it to younger Perez Teller. Nice right there, able to get past the defense. And now goalie Murillo come out and will halt the Cougar momentum just for a moment. Roth, what'd you see right there from the Cougars offense?
So right there, it was a really good setup on the attack right there. Pointer wanted to pass it, to number 14, Evan Perez right there. The problem was, though, there just wasn't much room for him to do anything with the ball due to the fact that he was met right there by 3 St. Francis defenders, and along with that, just the pass, inaccurate.
Now a whistle. And offsides. Seen a couple of offsides called here in the first half. Perez Teller will boot that one deep. Pointer not able to corral the pass. Now the Cougars trying to generate a little more offense than what we've seen so far here early. Working with it on the far side of the pitch. That pass goes off the right foot of Lechuga and right back to the Fighting Saints. Working with it, Anthony Durka. He'll boot it deep for Luna. Luna had a full head of steam, regains composure, dumps it off to his teammate. That shot is in. Goal number 3 here in the first half for the Fighting Saints. Roth, it looked like Perez Teller came out of goal a little too early, which resulted in goal number 3.
And immediately, right then, there's been the big difference so far. Just the pace of those forwards right now for St. Francis has been dominating over those, Concordia defenders. And, the goal right there scored by number 7, Pablo Rubio, excuse me. Let's see for the second goal of the day. And I'll start off with a beautiful pass right there by Edward, Luna right there, waiting for the ball to come to him and going then from his left foot onto his right foot, finding the open player right there, and Guerrero score the game's 3rd goal for St. Francis.
That is now the 2nd goal of the afternoon for Pablo Rubio Guerrera. His 2nd goal of the season. It was an assist by Edward Luna, who made a really nice pass to set up his teammate. And now, Roth, if you're the Cougars, what's your mentality down 3-0 here in the first half?
It's tough, considering, the fact that, this is their first home game, you came off of, losing already twice so far this past week, and it looked like things might be moving upwards for this team, and so far it hasn't done that so far. And, it's going to be interesting to see, once we get into halftime, what the mentality is like for this team coming into the second half, and particularly just these next, 13 minutes remaining here in the half.
And obviously, it's been a pretty tough early season for the Cougars back line, already giving up 3 goals in the first half. But I feel like if you're Coach Callahan, you just want to see your back line play better and just some different looks on offense. It seems like this Cougars team's not getting here.
Not only that, you want players who are willing to fight for the team, because you know more about your team through defeat than you do through success. And, this is another game that's going to be very telling about which players on this team really care about, what's happening on the field, and compared to those who really are not putting the same, energy.
That's an excellent point. It's easy to be a good teammate when you're winning, but when you're down, that's when your true colors show. So we'll see what the Cougars have left in the tank here in the first half. As St. Francis looking to get it clear out right here. As a Cougar defender trips up one of the Fighting Saints.
A foul right there from number 2, the Cougars, Julian Yanez. A good call right there made by the ref.
Giannis, the junior out of Cicero, Illinois, went to Morton East High School. And now ball is going to be kicked to the far near side of the pitch and rolls onto the track. And Luna really analyzing the situation. It's kicked right to Giovanni Velasquez. And Velasquez looked a little frustrated on that one as knocks over a Fighting Saint. And Roth, it just looks like the Cougars are just very frustrated, at least at this stage of the game.
And it's really showing right there in the last foul, by Velasquez right there. Just really, dumb foul right there on the spot. And those are things that you just want to avoid, seeing here, being down 3-0.
And you just acknowledged it. Like, you really see who you are when you're losing, and not a good look right there for Velasquez. As Lekowitz Perez Teller come out of goal. Looks like we're going to get a couple substitutions here for the Cougars. Coming into the game, number 9, Giuseppe Lazzara for Roberto Romero. We'll get you the other substitution here in a second. Kind of at a disadvantage where we are up in the booth, not able to see as well on the far side of the field. Now St. Francis working with it. That ball will trickle out of bounds once again. Play will reset. Other substitution for the Cougars, Chris DeBass comes in for Joey Smariglio. Both of those substitutions were made by Coach Callahan.
Every now, if you're Coach Callahan, you want to see those substitution players, try to make an impact in this game, try to change something, whether it's the energy, see what they can do. And, if you're the players themselves who just got subbed on, you're trying to, make a name for yourself and prove to the coach and along with your team that you should maybe, move into the starting 11, So it's an opportunity for them to shine. Doesn't matter what the score is. All that matters is you put in the work and the effort to have the coaches notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Lazara, the sophomore out of Chicago, Illinois. And Chris DeBass, the junior out of LaGrange, Illinois. So both of these players already have a little bit of experience with the Cougar squad. Coach Callahan wants to see what he can get out of the substitutions for sure. Not being reminded of what the score is, just wants to see how much heart and energy they play with here. Free kick right there from the Cougars. Looking for a pointer. Pointer not able to get to it. Throw in right here from the Cougars. And Murillo comes out of goal to save that one. Another empty possession right there for the Cougars.
Those are opportunities that come very few and far for this Cougars team. You have to do something with those opportunities right there. And unfortunately, we just saw a cross right there. It just went wasted, unfortunately.
We're looking at the box score. Fighting Saints, 9 shots, 5 of them of which have been shots on goal. Obviously, the 3 goals, as now St. Xavier with a full head of steam, and goal number 4. Sergio Fernandez Arango, the junior from Madrid, Spain, we mentioned a couple times. He gets goal number 1 of the day for him. Goal number 4 for the team.
Well, right there, beautiful job right there, shooting on his right foot right there on the near post. And just like that, what you mentioned, Parker, it's a 4-goal lead now for St. Francis. And, I've been mentioning several times about the junior out of Madrid, Spain. Last year was the best player on this team with 9 goals, 8 assists. And so far, he has been the biggest contributor to the St. Francis team early on this year. And now he gets his name on the score sheet.
And Sergio Fernandez Arango was the Offensive Player of the Week in the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference last week. Second in the CCAC in assists with 2. Fourth in CCAC in points with 5. Right now, this Cougars team looks very depleted, down 4-0 in the first half. The St. Francis team a little better than advertised, like we mentioned in the pregame, coming in with a 1-2 record, but already scored 4 quick goals as the Cougars' defensive struggles continue.
I think the biggest difference right now is just the intensity right now for both teams. The St. Francis attackers, doing such a good job, trying to win the ball, in the final. They're using their pace, their athleticism, whereas the Cougar defenders right now just look really gassed right now, almost like they need a break. So if you're a head coach, Brad Callahan, I think it's time they make some substitutions, particularly defensively, and just bring in some fresh legs to try to counter this incredibly fast, intense St. Francis team.
We see on the sidelines Coach Callahan speaking with assistant coach Maz Shiraz Khan, just trying to go over the game plan and maybe any potential substitutions. As whistles are blown. Lots of whistles here early. Should I say in the first half at least. Cougars not happy how this game has turned out. We are approaching 5 minutes here in the first half until we go to halftime. We'll get throw in right here, free kick from the Saints. She'll just dump it off to Murillo. Saints boot it deep. Now in Cougar territory. Looking to extend their already monumental 4-0 lead as Perez Teller, really nice save coming out of goal.
Really good effort there by Perez, chasing down, Guerrero right there. Really good job by him once more.
Perez Teller playing with a lot of heart this afternoon. That's why this Cougars team really looks to him for leadership. As they'll do the honors to reset things here for the Cougars offense. So they try to get something going before half. Working on the far side of the pitch. Now back in the middle is Santa Marta. Now back up top, Andres Villa. Fighting Saints just trying to eat away at the clock. Now under 3 minutes to go here in the first half. And Roth, if you're the Cougars, what are you trying to do before halftime?
You're looking to get any sort of momentum here left in this first half. You're looking, can we get a shot? Can we get a shot on net? What's something that we could look at, at the end of this first half and be like, hey, this started working. It's something that we should start doing continuously more often in the second half and see if just things change, Maybe bring in a few more players on the bench right here for these next 2 minutes, Just try a few different things. At this point, whatever they've been doing so far has not been working for them.
Only one shot for the Cougars, one shot on goal. Something that Coach Callahan has emphasized, more shots, more shots, more shots. When you're only shooting one shot in the first half, not exactly a good look offensively. As Pointer trying to work with it. Now Velazquez working on the far side of the pitch. He's talking to the official, not happy about something. Looked like Fighting Saint might have been pulling a little bit on his jersey. Tell the Cougars are definitely very frustrated.
We did talk about the opportunity. This is an opportunity right here, a free kick. Let's see, what Santiago can do with it, and just try to create something right here, more importantly.
Now, free kick is awarded to the Cougars. That shot misses the mark as it misses the left side of the goal. Now we are under a minute to play here in River Forest. 30 seconds remaining in the half. Now Murillo. Cougars have a good look right here. That's De Santiago. Kicks it. The ball goes straight up in the air. Cougars trying to get a shot off right before the half. Now Perez Teller sends that one. 10 seconds left. That kick hits that back net right behind the goal, and that'll do it for the first half. St. Francis with a major lead over the Cougars, 4-0. We'll see what head coach Brad Callahan can do halftime adjustments-wise, and we'll see if a different Cougars team will come out in the second half. Again, St. Francis up 4-0 on the Cougars. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network.
School student, an adult returning to complete your degree, or someone looking to enhance your credentials and prepare for career growth. As a member of this university community, you'll also find support in your spiritual and personal life so you can grow in the faith and discover ways to serve others. To start your next journey with us, visit cuchicago.edu today.
And we're back in River Forest as the second half is about to be underway. The Fighting Saints of St. Francis up big here in the game as they lead the Cougars 4-0. And Rob, we talked about this a little bit at the halftime break, but what's going wrong for the Cougars defensively?
Oh, there's a lot of things. I mean, for starters, so far, just the lack of athleticism so far has been killing them when it comes to, having to play on defense against the St. Francis attackers. Done such a really good job, St. Francis has moving the ball forward, using their athleticism to, go into the final third and create one-on-one opportunities. And so far, they're doing a really good job converting them. What I'm looking to see from the Cougars, I think the best thing for them to do is to sort of play their defenders a little bit more back, more closer to the net, in order to not allow those St. Francis players to really start to, accelerate towards the final third and those attacks.
And you mentioned that St. Xavier doing a great job of really outnumbering almost that Cougar backline, where they'll have 5 or 6 players running down the field. Meanwhile, the Cougars might only have 3 on the backline plus the goalie. Now let's flip to the offensive end. If you're looking at the box score, the Fighting Saints 10 shots, 6 shots on goal. 4 of them have found their way to the back of the net. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Cougars, 3 shots, 1 shot on goal. But, Roth, I'm going to ask you, offensively, what do the Cougars need to do to fix this issue?
They need to bring more players forward, which is almost like a catch-22, considering how I said, they need to have more defenders back. But also at the same time, when you're already down 4-0, doesn't really matter as much. So, considering they're down. So, I think they should start, trying to do a few more things, attacking-wise. Bring a couple more players up the pitch and, see what happens. You may concede a few more goals, but, if they're going to do the same thing they did in the first half, which was play really back defensively and allow constant pressure from St. Francis, they're going to continue to play the same way. And, it's not going to end well for them so far as they did in the first half.
And you got to think it's got to be really demoralizing for this Cougars team, finding yourself down by so much at the halftime break as we see the Cougars getting ready to trot back onto the field. Interested to see what halftime adjustments Coach Callahan has made. And, Roth, you mentioned maybe seeing a couple new faces that we haven't already seen today, getting some fresh legs in there. Made a couple substitutions in that first half. So we'll see what's in store as it looks like to kick off for St. Francis. Number 2, Sergio Fernandez Arango actually scored a goal in the first half for this Fighting Saints team. This Cougars getting set up defensively, and we are underway for second half action here in River Forest. Number 10, Anthony Durka finds his teammate on the far side of the pitch. And now Perez Teller going to come out of goal, get his offense set up. And, Roth, this is where the Cougars really need to get it done and make a statement here in the second half.
They do, and, it looks like they're going to get it out of their own, defense. If there's a foul called right there. But, those are simple things, the basic fundamentals that they have to get right here in the second half, and sort of, try to score a goal or two, make the scoreline in the end of the game a bit more respectable.
We'll see if the Cougars are able to accomplish that feat, as just not much generated. We mentioned the season averages for the Cougars in the first half. 12 shots they average in the first half. They only shot 3 in the first half, so 9 less than typical. That number has got to go way up, and usually in the second half, they increase their shot amount to 14. So we'll see if this is a new look Cougars offense here in the second half. As that ball will trickle out of bounds, we'll get a throw in right here from St. Francis. And that throw in goes to number 2, Sergio Fernandez Arango. We mentioned his name a lot so far. And also, Roth, something to note, first half, couple unnecessary penalties on the Cougars half. Just looked really frustrated and angry. Oftentimes, took that anger out in a not so good way. It's something you definitely can't afford to have in the second half.
And all those issues stem from morale as a whole. You know, I see a lot of players with their body language. I think you contribute this all the way back to even going as far back as last year, because a lot of these players were a part of this team last year that struggled off throughout the majority of the season, and now it's like the same thing is happening again. And at some point, it hits you. And I think for them, this is one of those moments where it's starting to hit them pretty bad.
Morale will be key here in the second half. The Cougars find themselves down by 4 goals. Let's look at St. Francis. St. Francis averages 12 shots typically in that first period. They had 10 shots. They also average one more shot as they average 13 in the second. So we'll see if this offense kind of picks up the tempo just a little bit. The Cougar player is tripped up. I believe that is number 24, Brandon Arias. Now he'll kick it to his teammate, Elias de Santiago, as the Cougars flush it right back to the goalie, Perez Teller. Working on the far side of the pitch are the Cougars, trying to avoid that stingy St. Francis defense who's been problematic for the Cougars all afternoon. Ball will go out of bounds, and possession will go right back to the Fighting Saints. Now running down the far side of the field is the Fighting Saints. Had a full head of steam. Cougars trying to flush it right back out. The Fighting Saints making that pretty difficult. And now a collision on the far side.
Questionable foul to say the least. But I do want to give a quick shout out, you know, we talked about how, the team is down for one thing, but it could have been a lot more worse if it wasn't for the stellar play so far of Joseph Perez and netminder for the Cougars. And, for him, it has to be tough, considering how well he has played despite giving up those 4 goals. And I know that feeling personally firsthand as a goalkeeper. It's tough, but, I commend him, for his performance so far and just, really giving it all out on the field.
And really, it's just been a tough day for Perez Teller. Like we mentioned, he's a solid goalie, just has not had a lot of assistance from that Cougar back line, which has been a question mark for this Cougars team. Just a rough day for the Cougars defense. Perez Teller definitely leaving it all out on the field, and Rob, you mentioned it. You know the feeling firsthand. It's just tough.
Not only that, this is back-to-back games now where this Cougars team has given up at least 4 goals or more. They gave up 5 in their last game to Anderson. So, it hasn't been just, a one-game anomaly. This has been back-to-back games now. They've had a lot of issues defensively.
Gave up 5 goals at Anderson University, which has been a season high allowed on defense. Only allowed 2 goals in that first matchup at Earlham College, in which the Cougars fell 2-1. Now working on far sideline, that ball will be dished right back out to Eric Murillo. Sends it in the middle third of the pitch. And now Lekowitz finds De Santiago. Trying to get the ball back is St. Francis. They are successful in doing so, trying to flush it right back out of their own territory. Deep pass. Cougars able to corral it. And now Lekowitz will send it deep. Ball go out of bounds towards the Cougars bench. Will result in a throw-in for the Fighting Saints.
So far early on, it's only been a couple minutes so far in this half, but it looks like this Cougars team is starting to do a little bit more better now defensively, a lot more structure and very uptight. And so far, they haven't given, St. Francis any opportunity so far early on.
Which is exactly what you want to see in the second half. A comeback, dare I say, almost improbable, but However, Cougars are looking more stable on the defensive end, and you just want to keep making those improvements throughout the half. Want to end the second half on a high note. It's been a nightmare first half for the Cougars. Don't want that same look in the second. As we get a corner kick right here from the Fighting Saints. Nice save right there from Perez Teller as he goes upstairs for that one. He'll send it deep and a flush out. Nice defensive stand right there from the Cougars.
Good job there by Perez right there, getting a firm grip on the ball as the Cougars try to get something up forward. It'll result in a throw-in for them.
Now we'll get a throw-in right here from the Saints as number 6, Daniel Simon, is guarded by Joseph Smeriglio. Very aggressive approach right there as Fernandez Arango knocks over number 12, Giovanni Velasquez. And now Velasquez will have a free kick as the offense gets situated here for the Cougars. Whistle blows, and that kick from Velasquez, deep. Fighting Saints trying to corral it right back. Cougars making it tough on them. Ball goes onto the track, and we'll get throw in right here from St. Francis and number 6, Simon. Finds Fernandez Arango. Looks like Arango threw up his leg and almost hit one of the Cougars in the face. Luckily, that was avoided. Now working with it, Andres Villa. Right back to Murillo. Now potential opportunity for the Cougars right here. And Roth, what are the Cougars trying to do on the offensive end?
So Santiago had the ball right there. The problem was the angle made it impossible for him to have a shot, hence why he tried to backpedal looking for someone else to pass the ball to and see if they could find a goal-scoring opportunity. But for the first time in a long time, we see what the Cougars did to what St. Francis did to them in the opening half. Create a lot of pressure right there and almost resulted them in having a goal-scoring opportunity. And those are some things that we need to see the Cougars start doing here this half.
Another save right there from Perez Teller. And Fighting Saints working with it. Cougars defense trying to be a little bit more aggressive. Smeriglio working on defense, pressed up against Daniel Simon. Now possession will go right back to the Cougars.
Those are the fundamentals on defense you want to see right there. So really good job there, by the Cougars. Those are things that you want to see, in the second half. Go back to the basics, and from there you'll be able to really start, making progress towards up the pitch.
It's the little things in the half that'll be the focus for the Cougars. As that one goes out of bounds. Get a throw in right here from the Saints. Working on the far side of the pitch. And out of bounds. As we are now approaching the 33rd and a half minute here in the second half. Still plenty of time for the Cougars to generate some offense. Have looked better on the defensive end, which is a good sign if you're Coach Callahan. Now throw in right here from Durka. He'll find Fernandez Arango, And he's shoved out of bounds by Julian Yanez. Really tough defense right there from the junior.
Yanez right there. Really good job by him, the defender, the junior out of Cicero, Illinois, using his body right there against the much smaller, number 2 for St. Francis, Fernandez Oringo.
Yanez listed as 6 foot on the roster, really using all of that 6-foot frame right there. Good defense right there for sure. And now Perez Teller getting things set up here for the Cougars. They'll send it deep. And now the Cougars working in the middle third. Finds Pointer, who's working with the defender who's playing really good defense. That was Pablo Alvarez.
The big problem right there with Pointer was just there was 4, St. Francis players right near him, There's just no room for him to make any use of the ball, and there's just no one near him to make a pass with. They're too isolated, the forwards, from one another. They're all playing almost like the little game of soccer on their own.
Wasn't a good look for that offense as Pointer almost looks stranded. And like we've seen all afternoon from this St. Francis defense, I mean, they just collapsed on him right away and basically suffocated that Cougars offense right there. And now the Fighting Saints, 3-on-3, and we'll get offsides. Now that's the 3rd offsides from the St. Francis team. Excuse me, 4th. Cougars have not been called for offsides here this afternoon, so that could be something positive to be found from this Cougars team.
We've seen that St. Francis team so far beat the offensive side trap so far several times in this game, but however, as much as they've been successful, they have unfortunately been called offsides 4 times, so it's been a bit of success both ways for them.
Now Smariglio watches that one goes out of bounds as he tried to pin Daniel Simon.
He was more focused on when he was getting the ball much more rather than getting it.
And now Velasquez will knock over a St. Francis player. A little slow to get up is number 23, Santos Contreras. As he is back on his feet. And the St. Francis offense will pick up right where they left off. Working on the far side, he has Elias De Santiago pressed up and bodies a man. Knocked him right on his face, and the Cougars an opportunity right here. That ball is taken away from Julian Yanez by the defender. Really nice job of St. Francis getting right back on defense. The Cougars had an opportunity, but it was stolen from them by the Fighting Saints.
Yanez had to step past the defender right there, and unfortunately was waiting for the ball. And once he got the ball, he just lost it on the dribble right there. And those are just opportunities you just cannot squander away. And that's been sort of the key theme of the day so far for this Cougars team, just miscues. And right there, that was another one.
Especially when those opportunities have been hard to come by. Looked like a golden opportunity for the Maroon and Gold, but was squandered immediately. Now St. Francis going back to work on offense. That was taken away by Lekowitz. Now Lekowitz working in the middle third. Finds Pointer. Pointer will dump it off to his teammate. Kicks it across the field. Coming out of goal is Murillo. Picks the ball right back up. Analyzing the situation.
That last attack by the Cougars, there was a case of like they weren't able to make any, attacks, try to get any through balls, get past the defenders, just because of how many, defenders St. Francis had right there. They had like, what, 4, 5, 6 players right there in their back line at that moment, and they couldn't generate any runs, to get past them. So a good job by St. Francis team, very structured, impressive.
It's been a very well-structured St. Francis team, and I know we've harped on this a couple times. Coming in with that 1-2 record, they don't look like a 1-2 team today. 4 goals in the first half, have not allowed many shots from the Cougars, only 3 shots from CUC all afternoon. How impressive has this St. Francis team been so far?
Really well, it would be an underwhelming word to use for them so far. Whatever they wanted to do, they've been able to do, They're playing like almost like prime Barcelona is what we're looking at here. Such good, quick passes, the movement, everything. It's been really just an all-out dominant performance by them so far,
That's what head coach Vince Martinez wants out of his team in his first season with the St. Francis program. Now St. Francis working with it, backed up in their own territory. Cougars back on defense. And now Fernandez Arango working with Giannis. Switches directions. That shot to the upper left of the goal and onto the track. Cougars will go back on offense as we'll get a new goalie into the game for the Cougars, as sophomore Kyle Schultz will replace senior Joseph Perez Teller. Schultz making his second appearance of the season, has played a total of 33 minutes and 47 seconds, only allowed 2 goals, and also has 2 saves. So the sophomore goalie has played pretty well here in the early going of the season as he looks to give Perez Teller a break.
Furthermore, on Schultz, he appeared in 6 games last year as a freshman with a save percentage of 93%. You mentioned about those 2 goals. Those 2 goals came in a game against Anderson, Indiana, just this past weekend. So for him, it will be interesting to see how he does here in his remaining 25 minutes.
Schultz, the sophomore out of Pingree Grove, Illinois, went to Hampshire High School. Looking to make an impact here where the Cougars desperately need one on the defensive end.
And before that substitutions were made, from the Cougars, St. Francis team, both teams, having first-year head coaches, and yet for St. Francis, it looks like they've been a team that's been together for so long. Coach Martinez, give a lot of credit to him and his entire managerial staff for getting these players prepared for today, and they've done an absolutely wonderful job.
St. Francis assistant coach Sebastian Morales and grad assistant coach Jeff Rafter have done a great job getting his squad prepared for yet another road contest here in River Forest. Now Pointer working with it in the middle of the field, has a few options to go to, decides to pass it to Lekowitz. Now Elias de Santiago working with a couple Fighting Saints on him. Now Pointer, whistle blown. Possession will go right back to the Saints. Now working on the near side, Daniel Simon trying to get past the back line, but Yanez once again comes up with the ball. Kicks it in the middle of the field looking for Pointer. Pointer has the ball taken away. Now right back to Yanez, who intercepts the pass. He'll find Arias. Now Spiriglio working on defense.
There's one thing, looking at the whole complexity of this game for the Cougars, we talked about how, it's tough for them, their first home game of the year, but also more importantly, they came close to winning their first 2 games of the season, and to come here at home and, to play the way I've been playing so far and, being down for nothing, it hasn't been easy for them. It's been rough.
Nice job by Schultz, really clearing it out right there. St. Francis back on offense. Now Schultz will come out of goal to pick up the ball, motioning his guys down the field as he'll send this one deep. Pointer, the closest man, he's not able to get to it as St. Francis gets the ball right back. Now Yana is trying to track it down. He'll try to dump it off to Arias, but again, we just see that suffocating Fighting Saint defense. It's really made things tough for the Cougars this afternoon, Roth.
It has, but good job there by Giannis right there, trying to not allow St. Francis to continue their attack right there, and instead have a throw and occur right there. And so far, they've done a really good job here in the second half. A lot more better job, being much more structured and contained, and not giving the St. Francis team the opportunities they had in the first half.
St. Francis, only one shot so far here in the second half, whereas compared to they had 10 in that first half. The Cougars have looked like a completely different team as far as defense is concerned. Now offense is where you want to see things really start to pick up.
And what you're hoping for Coach Callahan is to not concede a goal here in the second half, but instead try to score one, and see, try to build, a little bit of momentum, morale, looking ahead, obviously, to conference play very soon, and take what you've learned here in the second half and implement it for the rest of the season.
As we mentioned, the last week of non-conference play for the Cougars before they kick off NAC regular season play next week at Rockford University. Get to that a little bit later. And now looks like we'll get a corner kick right here from number 21, Rogelio Valles. Cougars trying to play tough defense. Trying to get a clear out right here. Lekowitz, nice job right there, sending it to the other side of the field as Murillo will come out of goal, corral the ball. As he waits for his players, trot back down the field to set up something else on offense. Working on the far side of the pitch are the Saints. Analyzing the situation. De Santiago playing pretty solid defense. And now Evan Perez-Teller tripping up a St. Francis player. He's back up off the turf. Now Velazquez finds Perez-Teller once again. Now he'll hit the turf. Now, nice job by Schultz coming out of goal, preventing that one-on-one opportunity that St. Francis really had their way in the first half. He'll find Pointer on the near side.
Similar to Perez in the first half. Schultz, a really good job again right there, pulling from his net right there and coming down and getting the ball.
Now, Cougars have basically lived on defense here in the second half, and it's been a tough ask because considering how much defense the Cougars have played in this game, it looked like a completely different team here in the second half. Now St. Francis, opportunity squandered. Nice job by the Cougars defense as they try to clear out. Ball will go out of bounds as, no, it doesn't go out of bounds. Velazquez trying to work with it. Whistle. And possession will go to Cougars as Lekowitz looking to get a throw in right here. A little on-field conversation between on-field officials as we get the throw in. More whistles blown, and Perez Teller back down on the turf. He's laying out completely. The athletic training staff will come attend to him. We'll get a quick break in the action. Cougars trail 4-0 here in the second half. We'll be back for more action on the Cougar Sports Network.
See you at our next game.
Student and choose to stand tall for healing at a university that places Christ at the center and embraces teaching students to live a life fulfilled by purpose and meaning. Concordia University Chicago's new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree is an innovative and rigorous 4-year program that will prepare you to rise to the daily challenges of a rewarding nursing career and serve a greater cause. Our newly built modern simulation center features 4 distinct spaces, a skills attainment lab, multi-specialty intensive care spaces, a health assessment learning center, and a simulated home environment. Due to our close proximity to many world-class teaching hospitals, CUC's clinical rotations offer an abundance of diverse and real-world experiences. Learn more about earning your BSN at a Christ-centered university today.
Scary injury to number 14, Evan Perez Teller. He was helped off of the field by the athletics training staff here at CUC as we get ready to resume second half action. The Cougars trail the Fighting Saints 4-0. Looks like possession will retain with the Cougars as we'll get a kick from Elias de Santiago. Trying to find Christopher Dybas. And now St. Francis working with it on offense. Now Fernandez Orango gets past Yanez. An opportunity right here for the Saints. Nice defensive stand right there from the Cougars. That back line doing a little extra work.
Good job there by the back line of the Cougars. That will result in a corner for St. Francis right here as they're trying to get their 5th goal of the day.
Cougars trying to prevent any extra goal scoring right here as they looked much better on the defensive front. And that kick way over the goal and will take a leap onto the track. Ball will actually bounce over the gate and onto the little road.
Famous shot right there by the junior forward, number 35, Dominic Barwolek, right there. Trying to get himself on the score sheet today.
Cougars have only given up 2 shots here in the second half. 1 shot on goal. Kyle Schultz coming in for Joseph Perez Teller has looked pretty solid. 1 save so far here in his 7 minutes of action. Another whistle. Looks like we will get a throw in right here from the Saints. Working on the far side. Cougars trying to play aggressive on the defensive end. Now Lekowitz will get rid of it. Cougars looking for an opportunity. They'll find Arias. Go to Velasquez, and that's taken away from the Saints working with it. Nice job right there from Yanez, and now Lekowitz.
Good job there by Yanez stopping the initial through pass right there, and also really well done there by Lekowitz right there, clearing the ball out, resulting in a throw in right here.
Now, get a throw in right here from the Cougars as they look to march right down the field. Something that has been sparse this afternoon offensively. Only 1 shot in the second half for the Cougars. 3 shots in total. You got to increase that number in order to stay in the game with a team like St. Francis, who has come out of the gates hot.
And unfortunately for the Cougars, they just got behind the 8 ball very quickly in this game, and before we know it, St. Francis scored a couple of goals on them quickly in this game, and, they had to play from behind, and so far, they've done a better job here, obviously in the second half, but, today's not the day that they wanted.
Now Kyle Schultz will handle kicking duties as he sends it deep. Now the Cougars trying to do something on offense, and getting up quickly is Leona Areola. He looked to be frustrated as he got right back up off the pitch, and now Velasquez having a word with the on-field official. Looks like the Cougars will be awarded a free kick after the penalty from St. Francis.
Looks like number 2, Giovanni Velasquez is going to take this free kick right here.
See what he does with it. That is over the net. And not able to convert on the offensive end are the Cougars. That shot a little high from Velasquez.
It's a good field goal attempt. Unfortunately, just in the wrong spot.
Now 4 shots for the day for this Cougars team. Shots have been hard to come by in either half.
And this was sort of the theme that this team had last year, when they used to play under Coach Flanders. They struggled a lot creating chances and scoring goals. And, so far this season that wasn't really the case, but today the old habit of last year has come back to haunt this team. Their inability to create chances.
There's definitely been an emphasis really in the early going of the season, as well as the Cougar back line. 2 of the main focal points that the Cougars have had struggles with. Is time dwindling here in the second half. St. Francis, as he gets shoved in the back. right there. I believe that was Smariglio. Happened a few times today for the Cougars as they just look very frustrated, and understandably so, with the way things have been going. Ball hits the track, and possession will go right back to the Fighting Saints.
As we mentioned before, though, time is ticking, for them to really get ready for conference play. Because after this weekend, it's where it all starts. Every game matters more and more for this Cougars team.
And obviously, you don't want to lose any games, but non-conference doesn't hold as much weight as compared to when it gets to conference play and NAC play. I mentioned the Cougars will open up conference play next Wednesday at Rockford University. Take a look at the upcoming schedule a little later on in the broadcast, as Murillo send that one out to the midfield mark. St. Francis working with it. Arias draped all over him. Now Arias a headbutt. Trying to analyze the Cougars defense, trying to attack any holes that they might see. Fernandez Arango. And Kyle Schultz with the diving save. The sophomore goalie has provided a little bit of spark to this Cougars defense they didn't necessarily have in that first half.
That will be Schultz's second save of the game so far. It was a low-powered shot right there, but good positioning by him to make the save.
As now Schultz and Perez Teller both with 2 saves on the afternoon, 4 saves in total. Schultz has played about 16 and a half minutes. He's getting some good work here in the second half. And that was a point we talked about, Roth, just Coach Callahan trying to get a couple new faces, a pair of fresh legs in the game. Now Schultz will hit the turf hard, and so will a St. Francis player. Schultz is a little bit quicker to get up off the pitch. Can't necessarily see who the St. Francis player is, but he is up as well. Believe that might have been, can't really tell. Number 7, Pablo Rubio Guerrera, who has himself 2 goals here in this game. We're now under 10 minutes to go here in second half action. Schultz will boot that one. Cougars on defense. Defensive line trying to get back quickly. Nice save right there from Schultz. Throw it on over to Christopher Dybas. It's cleared by the Fighting Saints. Opportunity right here. Yanez playing some tough defense. He's able to take it away from Fernandez Arango. That shot way over the net, off target. Another good defensive stand right here from the Cougars.
Once again, they're playing a lot more better here in the second half. And all start off with the save by Schultz. Really good job right there. Good positioning right there for, the save. And a really good job there defensively by both Yanez right there. Really good job. And also by number 21, Roberto Romero.
So St. Francis now up to 15 shots on the afternoon, 9 shots on goal, which is a hefty amount. But Cougars defense not giving up a goal here in the second half, which has probably been the storyline for this Cougars team so far after allowing 4 goals in the first half. Now Cougars are able to clear that one.
There was a couple of St. Francis players clamoring for a handball, but the ref never saw it, so they continued playing.
Now St. Francis working in their own territory. Yanez, see what he can do as he tries to find Pointer. Pointer working on the near side of the field. He's got a little head of steam. Now has a defender on his back. Tries to shoot that one, but misses the mark. Believe that might have been Pointer's first shot attempt this afternoon for him. We've talked about Pointer, the leading goal scorer of this team, with 2 goals on the season. He's had a pretty decent start so far. Hasn't been as active today on the offensive end as he typically is. But still one of the major pieces to this Cougars team nonetheless. St. Francis trying to clear it out now. Both teams scrapping for the ball. Looks like St. Francis will have the advantage as Fernandez Arango racing down the sideline alongside Brandon Arrayes. Nice deflection right there from Andrew Lechuga, or as his teammates like to call him, Lettuce.
Really nice sliding challenge right there by Lechuga right there to redirect the pass. And so far, they're holding on here. These Cougars in the second half, not conceding yet.
Now 6:30 left in the second half. Have not conceded a goal, which has been a highlight. Now, if you're Coach Callahan, you want to see some more offense generated. The Cougars have had a couple of chances, 2 shots here in the second half.
We have a St. Francis player down on one knee for the moment.
As he is able to get up, walk on his own power. Now, play will resume as we're back on offense, and it looks like another St. Francis player. Seems that they're getting really kind of beaten up here in the second half. Cougars really throwing everything they have on defense at the Saints. It's worked out in their favor so far, at least in the second half. And now that shot through the uprights, off target from the goal.
And right there is a kick that even Justin Tucker will be very happy to see.
I think he would be proud for sure. As Arrayes. Now St. Francis back on offense. Tripped up by Giannis. And a foul. Giannis has been aggressive on the defensive end really throughout the whole match. Now Fernandez Arango with an opportunity. Send that one, no good. Another nice defensive stand by goalie Kyle Schultz in that back line of the Cougars.
This will result here in the little corner.
Now Fernandez Arango working with Yanez on him. Now he'll switch off, and Christopher Dybas, he'll send it to Rogelio Valles. Cougars trying to clear it out. Another kick through the uprights. Seen a couple of those here in the last couple minutes. Now Kyle Schultz with the ball in his hands. He'll set it down on the pitch, preparing to send it deep to clear out the Cougars and maybe generate something on the offensive end.
We have over 3.5 minutes remaining, but yeah, if you're the Cougars right here, let's get a shot. Let's get a couple of opportunities right here. You know, and let's see it. Because the last thing a team ever wants is to be shut out and give their opponents a clean sheet. And I think that's what the Cougars right here should be focusing on, trying to avoid right here.
And now, nice defense right there from De Santiago as he takes it away from St. Francis. Now at a pointer working on the near sideline. He'll shoot that one, and Murillo will come up with the save.
Not a great shot selection from that angle and that far out of the way. An impressive job, though, by the Santiago, winning the ball back in the middle. Those are things you really want to see, especially, how late we are in the game and him still fighting right there in the middle of the pitch to win the ball back.
Now, Pointer is not someone who's afraid to take shots. Leading shot taker on this team. Maybe not the best shot selection, but that's just what he does, as he'll get another one, and that's through the net. Garrett Pointer. Goal number 1 for the Cougars. That's goal number 3 of the season for Pointer.
And just when I criticized Pointer for his shot selection right there, a beautiful shot right there on his right foot, shooting a cross body right there, and hit the ball landing in the bottom left hand of the post right there. It's his first goal of the day, his third on the year. And it all started off by the tremendous play of, once again, number 2, Julian Yanez right there, winning the ball back. And for the Cougars to get a goal here late in the game, it won't really affect the outcome of this game, but it has to feel good for them to finally get on the score sheet.
Absolutely, and the Cougars have just looked like a new team, especially on the defensive end, and it's nice to see that they're able to find one that is true in the back of the net off the right foot of Garrett Pointer, just pinged right inside the top left of the goal. As we're now under 2 minutes to go in the second half. Cougars trail 4-1.
That is the Cougars' 5th goal so far this year. They didn't score 5 goals until very late in the season. As at one point last year, they went on a long run of not scoring a goal. So far, while the defense has been iffy at points so far this year, the one thing that Coach Brad Callahan and the staff has done really well is starting to create more of those goal-scoring opportunities.
And now we'll get a stoppage of the clock as the on-field official talking things over with both sides. Looks like it'll be a free kick right here for St. Francis, and number 4, Pablo Alvarez, and number 7, Pablo Rubio Guerrera. One's behind the ball. Let's see if this Cougars defense can get yet another stop here in the second half. Nice save as that goes off the knees of Schultz. And now Pablo Guerrera just sends that one onto the track.
So that previous free kick all happened because of a foul there committed by Julian Yanez, and because of that, he got booked for a yellow card for unsportsmanlike right there.
Seen a couple of those unsportsmanlikes from Yanez. Seen one from Velasquez. Some of the Cougars sometimes let their emotions get the best of them. Now, St. Francis, as we are under 1 minute to go here in regulation. Smariglio tries to find Pointer, who is the nearest man, but St. Francis retakes possession. He's trying to really run out this clock. Now Lekowitz will find a Santiago. Now Pointer working with it on the far side of the pitch. Pointer racing down the field, gets past a couple defenders, trying to find some look on offense as the ball goes out of play. 10 seconds. Cougars shot not able to find the net, and that'll do it for the game. St. Francis comes on the road and steals one from the Cougars, 4-1. Last goal from CUC coming from Garrett Pointer, and Roth just looking at the box score. Something that really stands out, the 19 shots from St. Francis, 11 shots on goal compared to the Cougars, 7 shots, 3 shots on goal. It was just a mismatch offensively for both sides.
It was, and early on, you could tell right away St. Francis just a lot more better, talent and athleticism they had on this team. And because of that talent and not only their athleticism, they've been able to convert a lot of good opportunities in the first half, and that was all they needed. Whereas for the Cougars, it wasn't easy, but they get credit to them in the second half. They didn't concede a goal. They started getting a lot more opportunities, offensively. And at the end, we saw the goal by number 7, Garrett Pointer. And because of that, they remained their streak of 3 consecutive games scoring a goal.
Taking a quick look ahead for St. Francis, they are off this weekend and will return to their home field as they take on St. Mary of the Woods College September 12th, which is a Tuesday. Kickoff set for 7 p.m. Meanwhile, big week for the Cougars as they host Olivet Nazarene University Saturday, 4 p.m. and a quick turnaround as they will host once again another non-conference opponent in Albion College on Sunday. Kickoff set for 1 p.m. and that is the last non-conference game before they travel to Rockford next Wednesday for first conference game of the season. Real quick, want to give a shout out to our student workers that were able to make this broadcast possible. On the camera, Sydney Lloyd, our producer, Kate Johnson. Down on the table is Amaya Martin. Our statistician was Ashley Schroll. Running the scoreboard, Janie Turnez. And on the cameras, Abby Kulig. As for me and my partner, Rafael Gonzalez, Parker Kelly signing off. See you next time on the Cougar Sports Network, and just want to say, go Cougars.
So much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.